Hello and welcome to our third and final video tutorial about effects available on Absinthe 5. In our previous videos, we saw how to activate, mix and control the first 4 effects from the effect window: pipe, multicomb, multitap and echoes. In this video, we are going to do the same for the 2 remaining effects, Resonators and Aethierizer. Just to maintain a certain continuous logic, I'm going to keep the same preset chosen for every effect seen so far, the Grand Piano 1 preset. Again, when selecting the Resonator effect, you already understand that there is some kind of metallic hall effect, as if someone was playing a piano in a large reflecting cathedral. The Resonators effect offers up to 3 resonators, or resonating obstacles. These resonators can produce Hall effects and delays, or simulate the sound of reflecting objects such as glass or metal bars. By combining these 3 resonators, you can obtain different effects applied over the same source. Let's now take a look into the parameters in the master section. The size control display lets you set the maximum delay length between 0 and 100%. The feedback control we have already mentioned before. As for the tone control, it controls the filters inside the resonators. The results will depend on which feature is selected in the mode menu and the options set in the tone menu, which we are going to talk about later on. The drive control sets the input signal degree of saturation. When it is pushed over a high input into a degree of distortion, the resonators react in a different way to when they are stimulated by a more controlled signal. The pre-delay option controls the delay in milliseconds that takes for the resonator to react. As for the diffusion control, it creates random delay variations. It can range from 0 up to 100. Lower levels makes it sound cleaner, and higher values will just sound grainier. The ER switch stands for Early Reflections. This option impersonates the effect of sounds bouncing on obstacles along the way, and it is affected by the size parameter. There are 4 different types of resonators mode: raw, natural, resonant, and synthetic. The raw mode produces a damped delay, which causes the sound to flutter and become less diffuse. The natural mode offers a more diffuse variation of the sound with a little dark feeling to it. The resonant mode is also a more diffuse sound, but a much brighter feeling. As for the synthetic mode, it kind of resembles the resonant mode, just a bit more extreme. As said before, the tone control produces different effects depending on the selected mode, but with the synthetic mode activated, the tone options are vast. Don't forget that with the 3 resonators activated, you can mix different resonating effects into one. For example, mixing an infinite hall-like effect with a brighter small room effect. These scale, shape, and control options are part of the delay control menu. The scale option sets the resonator size by multiplying the size on the master channel with a value entered here. The shape option allows you to adjust the various delay ratios. For a Hall effect, changing this value would be like changing the volume or form of that space where the sound is being generated. The delay control option adjusts the sensitivity of the parameter, whether it is being controlled by a MIDI modulation command, like we saw before, or an LFO, which we will be exploring in our next tutorial video. The tone menu has also 3 separate options for each resonator. The tone scale option, which Absinthe will use to multiply with a master tone value, the spread control, which increases diffusion and reduces feedback when pushed to higher values, and the control option, which works just the same as the control option on the delay section we saw before. These options and resonators, used solo or combined, offer a very wide variety of reflections and Hall-type effects, which can be used in different situations whether you're working on electronic music or sound design. Up next on our effect list is the Aethierizer. The Aethierizer is a revolutionary new effect introduced by Absinthe 5. Based on granular delay, it allows you to process the signal on the grain level via a transposition, a feedback loop, and a bandpass or comb filter before sending it to a full-feature post-delay section including its own feedback loop. This effect can indeed affect your sound in amazing ways. It takes the sonic material coming at its input and crops it into little sonic grains, sampled at adjustable time and rate. Each grain gets totally shaped by a pitch shifter, and then is sent back through a feedback loop in the Aethierizer again. The output can then be filtered by either a bandpass or a comb filter, and sent out to the post-delay. To better understand this whole audio synthesis theory, let's push the wet output signal and remove the dry signal from our output menu. Now, I'm going to separate and transpose each grain. Keep an eye on the lower grain cloud display on the bottom of the window. Separating each grain into a cloud of grains is now getting this grand piano preset to sound more like a bomb explosion. Three different sections compose the Aethierizer master window: the master section located on the top, the grain section on the left, which allows you to control the shape of the grain cloud, and the tone section on the right, which allows you to control the pitch and filtering of each grain. The master section has the same parameters as we saw before, but now related to the effects post-delay section. The beat switch, where you can select whether the value in the nearby post-delay time control should be indicated in seconds or beats, the time control which established the post-delay duration, the post-delay feedback control which defines the proportion of the incoming signal that is sent to the post-delay's feedback loop, the low-pass filter that acts within the feedback loop, and a gain to adjust the volume of the delayed signal. In the grain section, you can adjust the grain cloud parameters. The pre-delay control defines the position in the incoming signal at which the grains are taken. Increasing this value makes the grain start later in the input audio signal. The rate control is the graining rate, or the rate at which the input signal is chopped into grains. The feedback controls the amount of grain level feedback, and the grain duration control adjusts the length of each grain. These parameters can all be randomized in the random section of both grain and tone menus, with its value measured in percentage. Plus, they can all be controlled via MIDI by selecting the macro control to which you want to assign the parameters, and their control sensitivity levels adjusted or inverted on the control option of each menu. The tone section features parameters which modify the tonal color of the grains. The transpose control here adjusts the transposition of the grain in semitones, while the random option attributes different transposition to each grain. As for the filtering option, you can select between two types of filters to apply: bandpass filter or a comb filter. Both give you a frequency and resonance control for the grain level filter chosen, and the same random and control option seen before. Also, you get a filter quantize option from the filter activation. This drop-down menu allows you to select one of the filter quantization modes to apply, from chromatic to vowel. These modes will shape the tone of each grain by having its cutoff frequency quantized according to various models. By exploring and testing each of these models, you will notice that you can achieve very unusual and complex audio results. And this ends up our effects category. Stay tuned to learn more about Absinthe 5 on our next tutorial, Low Frequency Oscillators.